Hello and welcome back to the NHL Best Bets. Even though today there is a bit bigger game later in Tampa, we go through the NHL games that are played earlier, so there's no overlap between these ice hockey games and Super Bowl. Yesterday we had a few picks that we made. Let's go those through first. Here you see that our first pick was New York Islanders, and that was correct. Islanders won the game. It was a tight game, but still result was, I think, deserved. Then Edmonton visited Calgary. Calgary played well at home. That is not very usual. And they won 4-6. Edmonton's defense wasn't any great, even though they can score like they have been able to score in previous games as well. So there we had a big loss. How do you see, Tommy, these games? Any surprises?
No, especially in New York, the Islanders Penguins game was pretty much as we predicted. Penguins has had a lot of issues playing Barry Trotz's New York Islanders, and it looked exactly that last night. Penguins got back Chris Letang and John Marino to their defense, so they did have more than two NHL level defensemen in the game, but still they leaked 4 goals. And of course, New York Islanders not the most offensive team, but they seem to be doing their getting their performance together against the Penguins. And something that in the future also worth watching out is the Islanders against Penguins, because they are often deemed underdogs. This time barely, but closer to the game, the odds actually turned in the favor of the Penguins. So Islanders were in the end underdogs in this game, and they got a good victory there against Pittsburgh after having a long stretch of not so good performances. So very positive for Islanders, very positive for us as well in our picks. And then the sad team in our simulations, Edmonton Oilers, managed to score 4 goals. That should be enough in NHL to win, but this time Calgary managed to score 6. So again, defensive problems in Edmonton rose their heads, and it doesn't seem to be getting a lot better. So pretty bad pick from us in this case, because Calgary managed to outscore Edmonton, whose only chance of winning games is to score a lot and then find a way to win these 6-4 games on their side. So maybe that's a pick that I would take back. But then when you take a look at the odds, the positive odds in this case, quite a good pick. But of course, have to review if there was something that we should have done better.
How about these other games? Did the machine beat the bookmakers? There were few, or this Anaheim San Jose game was pretty tight, as well as the early game between Ottawa and Montreal.
Yeah, of course the early games are always tricky, as we saw last night with Ottawa and Montreal. Not a very good quality hockey game overall. We had Montreal there winning. They did beat Ottawa 1-2 with Josh Anderson's 8th goal of the season. But like I said, not a very good quality game, a very close one to that. But Machine was correct in that one. Same thing in Toronto, where Toronto faced Vancouver. We got Toronto winning that one. They did quite comfortably 5-2, and it was very much as predicted. And then we had this missed opportunity in Calgary, Edmonton, and also we got San Jose winning Anaheim. It was a really close one. Now it was the under, as we predicted previously. So now it was the 1-1 game, and then 2-1 after the extra time. So low scoring game, as we predicted. We had in this case 76% of the simulations under 5.5 goals, so a good under there. But didn't want to do the same pick again. But I think we did mention it in the video that it's likely to be a low scoring game. And then we had San Luis beating Arizona, but it was also quite a close game. Arizona scored the empty netter 1-3. took the road victory 1-3. Very good performance by both goalkeepers. Ville Husso was playing for St. Louis and Darcy Kemper for Arizona. A lot of chances in there, but really good performance from both goaltenders.
Yeah, I think somehow these total numbers are going up and down. Some games, like you mentioned, 2-1s, 3-1s, and then these Edmontons and Calgarys playing and scoring 10 goals in a game. But if we quickly go through the picks, what we have done for today, we have here 2 games. All today's games are early games, like I said. These are played at noon local time, both. So Washington gets Philadelphia, their home arena. Washington is a small underdog there, but our simulations indicate that they should be favorite, and there is a clear value for the home team. Then a bit long shot, Kings continues their road trip in Vegas. I think in Vegas there's maybe some other activities during the Super Bowl, but there's also good hockey at T-Mobile Arena. And Kings have lost last 3 games. They played a bit better earlier this season, but odds are now quite high for them, plus 225, and simulations indicate that there is some value for the road team. So let's see if we can pick this time the big underdog here, and Kings will surprise much stronger Vegas team.
Yeah, this is a very weird circumstances. They're really early games. You have the Super Bowl coming up, probably affecting a little bit of the players as well. Especially the Americans probably want to be watching that. So good thing the games are starting early. But as we've seen previously in previous years already, every game that starts earlier, they start around noon or just early afternoon. Everything can happen. So especially in this Vegas Kings game, it's more about the odds for the Kings. They are not that good team. They have some injuries in their defense and haven't played that well. But Vegas has had these ups and downs. They've had a problem scoring goals. It's the second game against the Kings, so easily they can go a little bit thinking that they're beating it easily, but Kings might be a feisty one to take this. So in the simulations, we have about 34% probability for the Kings, and the odds are indicating around 30 or even less. So it's a good value for a heavy underdog there because of this. In this case, a lot of things can happen. And then going to Washington, Philadelphia, the first game between these two this season. Both have lost their last 2 games quite narrowly. Of course, Washington a little bit worse losses to Rangers and Boston, while Philadelphia lost twice to Bruins as well. So something that both teams are looking for bounce back. But I think at home, Washington has played worse. So they are the ones who will now have a little bit more motivation to beat the Flyers in this case, and about quite similar teams and similar level of play. So I think Washington with these odds is a very good pick.
Yeah, let's see how these early games go, because like you said, teams are not very used to play at noon. Usually they play somewhere 7 p.m. and I think it can create some surprises. Do we have any other teams or bets that have some value? There is a few other games tonight or today as well. Our favorite boy Kevin Lankinen and Chicago Blackhawks goes to Dallas, and in Dallas there seems to have some goaltending issues with Antoine Khudobin out for whatever reason that is not shared with us. But I think Dallas has played maybe below the expectations on the road, and they are now coming back to home. So it might be a tough game for Chicago to win.
Yeah, definitely. Not sure what's the issue with Khudobin there, but Jake Ottinger takes the number one goaltender spot, starts tonight, has played okay if you don't take a look at the stats, but he has the one victory from the game that he's played fully. So it's a little bit of a downgrade for Dallas. But then again, like you said, returning home, maybe a little bit underperforming so far. We do have Chicago as 47% winning 47% of the simulations against the odds of about 39. But like we've established, Chicago a little bit lower level team maybe compared to Dallas. So maybe on the road, not that good a pick, but the simulations seem to think that Kevin Lankinen will provide the chance for victory as well for Chicago this time around. And then we have, of course, heavy favorites, Florida hosting Detroit. Detroit still not rated at all by this simulation, so they're 75% of the simulations end up Florida winning this game. So there is some value, but really low odds for Florida. It's about minus 240. So if you like these heavy favorites, Florida is one way to go. And then the final game is Columbus hosting Carolina. Quite a close one. We do have Carolina winning it, but again, goaltenders in Columbus, the playing style of Columbus can be a low-scoring game, and it can turn either way. But we do have Carolina as favorites in this case.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see how these teams like Florida and Carolina, who are relying on the fast moving offenses, will perform tonight. Will it slow down when they need to wake up a bit earlier, or are they cranking with all the cylinders already at this time? Because Florida has played reasonably well last two games against Nashville, like we've discussed, and they lost one but then won last one. And naturally Detroit is a different level team than Nashville was. And then Columbus, difficult to play with any teams, and they have a good goaltending. I think Latvian Elvis is playing today, and Carolina has also have reasonably good goaltending this season. I think they have Mr. Reimer, who has Mrzak has the highest saving percentage in NHL right now. So do you know which goalie will start over there in Carolina?
I think it will be Mr. Reimer actually starting because of Mrazek's undisclosed injury in the couple of nights ago, at least. That he's predicted to be out tonight, but as we've seen previously, this is not 100%, and things can change really fast, and the teams are not that straight with their lineups and their starting goaltenders until they have to. So take a look at who is gonna play, because it's a difference if Reimer has played all right now when Mrazek is out, but I think Mrazek is still the number one keeper in Carolina. So if he plays, Carolina is bound to play a little bit better, especially defensively, because of the familiar goaltender there. So Reimer is at best he's a good goaltender, but he can be also collapsing sometimes. So a bit different than Mrazek. And just to say about these early games, usually the players after the morning skate, they might go for a little nap. So if they're napping at around noon, this time around, it's not a very good thing. So might be an interesting take to see that which players are still sleeping and which players are going their full cylinders.
Yeah, I think it would be interesting to see if somebody's going to bet this kind of underdog parlay for all these 5 games. Because, like I said, anything can happen with these early games, and teams can perform maybe in different levels than we have used to see. So more random activities and more random variables into these calculations.
Yeah, might be a funny thing to do to make all the games go into the overtime. So this is something that you can go with if you want some excitement.
Yeah, today a lot of excitement. First we check hockey, and then we continue with Super Bowl. We have also Super Bowl simulations run, so please check the website and make the best bets out of those.
Yeah, it's gonna be a long day again.
Tomorrow we'll continue with the new week and new bets.